Hello, I'm Professor Susan DeGize. This tutorial is on practice 3.8. Directions. Transpose the rhythms into the given time signatures. For a sample, see example 3.8. Keep all pitches, articulations, and dynamics. Alright, if you feel comfortable, go ahead and do numbers 1 through 2 on your own. If not, I'm going to do the first measure of number 1, and you can follow along. Alright, so the original is in 2/4, meaning that a quarter note gets one beat. We need to rewrite it in 2/2, meaning that a half note gets one beat. So what's the difference between a quarter note and a half note? A half note is twice as long. So that means every note that's in the given violin line, you're going to rewrite twice as long. Okay, so the first note here is G5. It's an eighth note, so I'm going to write it up here as a quarter note. Then we have GF as 16th notes, so I'm going to write them as eighth notes. Then we have two Gs, so I'm going to write them as quarter notes. Now we're going to add all the articulation marks and dynamics. So we have a staccato, slur, staccato, staccato, forte, piano. Okay, go ahead and finish number 1 on your own if you haven't already. Pause the video and press play when you're ready. Okay, we have ED as eighth notes, so we'll draw them as quarter notes. CE as eighth notes, so we'll draw them as quarter notes. We need a staccato, a slur, and sforzando. What is sforzando? Accented. All right, now we have a D as an eighth, so we'll write D as a quarter. DC, so we'll write DC, this time as eighth notes, because that's twice as long as 16th notes. Then we have two Ds as eighth notes, so we'll write them as quarter notes. Staccato, slur, staccato, staccato. Forte, piano. And finally we have B, A, and G, which we'll write as quarter notes. Now notice that the two eighth notes here are beamed together. Normally this B4 would have a downstem, but because it's beamed to this A4, the A4 requires an upstem. So both these notes are beamed together with upstems. So as quarter notes, it doesn't need to be beamed with anything. So I'm going to write my downstem here, then an upstem here, then an upstem there. Okay, we can go ahead and add our staccato marks. Make that little. Okay, so let's go ahead and listen to this and talk about the difference between 2/4 and 2/2. All right, so that is the version in 2/4. How would the version in 2/2 sound different? It wouldn't. It sounds exactly the same. So just because music is written in 2/4 or 2/2 doesn't tell you how fast or how slow it should be. It just tells you how notes are proportionate to one another. So it should sound exactly the same in 2/2 as in 2/4. Later in this chapter, we'll learn about tempo markings, and then that's where the music would sound faster or slower. But in terms of just these two examples here, they should sound exactly the same. All right, let's try number 2. If you want to try it completely on your own, go for it. If not, I'll do the first measure with you. Okay, so we're moving from 3/2 to 3/4. So now a half note gets a beat, changes to a quarter note gets a beat. So what's the difference between a half note and a quarter note? A quarter note is half the duration. So every note in the given soprano line will be half the duration. So that means this rest here, which is a half rest, will become a quarter rest. This note, which is a whole note, will become a half note. Okay, so we're basically going to just change the durations by half. So go ahead and finish the rest of number 2, pause the video, and press play when you're ready. Okay, so this half note becomes a quarter note. This half note becomes a quarter note, and this half note becomes a quarter note. This half note becomes a quarter note. Now these 4 quarter notes become eighth notes. Now if we write the eighth notes like this, we have a problem, right? Because the beaming doesn't seem to work. So we need to decide if we want to put the stems to go up or the stems to go down. So I think this is a pretty close call. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give them all up stems because this is an up stem. So if you did all down stems, that should be okay too. So this is kind of a tie. Doing them up or doing them down, both should be fine. All right, and then my last note is a half note, so I'm going to write that as a quarter note. Now I'm going to add my slurs. There's a slur there, and there's a slur there. Ooh, almost forgot that natural sign. All right. Okay, so this is how you do rhythmic transpositions. So let's go ahead and listen to this Bach example. All right, so again, that sounds exactly the same in 3/2 as 3/4. Bach chose to write it in 3/2. But it sounds just the same in 3/4. You've now completed the tutorial for practice 3.8. Thank you for watching.